Acts, chapter 27. And when our sailing to Italy was determined, they were delivering up both Paul and certain others, prisoners, to a centurion, by name Julius, of the band of Sebastus. And having embarked in a ship of Adramyttium, we, being about to sail by the coast of Asia, set sail, there being with us Aristarchus, a Macedonian of Thessalonica. On the next day also we touched at Sidon, and Julius, courteously treating Paul, permitted him, having gone on to friends, to receive their care. And there, having set sail, we sailed under Cyprus, because of the winds being contrary. And having sailed over the sea down by Cilicia and Pamphylia, we came to Myria of Lycia. And there the centurion, having found a ship of Alexandria sailing to Italy, put us into it. And having sailed slowly many days, and with difficulty coming down by Cnidus, the wind not permitting us, we sailed under Crete down by Salmone. And hardly passing it, we came to a certain place called Fair Havens, near to which was the city of Lasaea. And much time being spent, and the sailing now being dangerous, because of the fast also being already past, Paul was admonishing, saying to them, Men, I perceive that with hurt and much damage, not only of the load and of the ship, but also of our lives, the voyage is about to be. But the centurion gave more credence to the pilot and to the shipowner than to the things spoken by Paul. And the haven, being not well placed to winter in, the greater part gave counsel to sail from there, if somehow they might be able, having attained to Phoenix, to winter there, which is a haven of Crete, looking to the southwest and northwest. And a south wind blowing softly, having thought they had obtained their purpose, having lifted anchor, they sailed close by Crete. And not long after there came down from it a turbulent wind, that is called the Euroclydon. And the ship being caught, and not being able to bear up against the wind, having given her up, we were carried on. And having run under a certain little island called Clauda, we were hardly able to become masters of the boat, which, having taken up, they were using helps, undergirding the ship, and fearing lest they may fall into the sandbars of Syrtis, having let down the mast, so were carried on. And we, being exceedingly storm-tossed, the succeeding day they were making a clearing. And on the third day we cast out the tackling of the ship with our own hands, and neither sun nor stars appearing for more days, and not a little storm lying on us, from then on all hope was taken away of our being saved. And there, having been long fasting, then Paul, having stood in the midst of them, said, It was necessary indeed, O men, having listened to me, not to set sail from Crete, and to save this hurt and damage. And now I exhort you to be of good cheer, for there will be no loss of life among you, but of the ship. For this night there stood by me a messenger of God, whose I am and whom I serve, saying, Do not be afraid, Paul. It is necessary for you to stand before Caesar. And behold, God has granted to you all those sailing with you. For this reason be of good cheer, men, for I believe God that so it will be, even as it has been spoken to me. And on a certain island it is necessary for us to be cast. And when the 14th night came, we, being carried up and down in the Adria, toward the middle of the night, the sailors were supposing that some of the country drew near to them. And having sounded, they found 20 fathoms. And having gone a little farther, and again having sounded, they found 15 fathoms. And fearing lest we may fall on rough places, having cast 4 anchors out of the stern, they were wishing day to come. And the sailors, seeking to flee out of the ship, and having let down the boat to the sea in a pretense, as if out of the prow they are about to cast anchors, Paul said to the centurion and to the soldiers, If these do not remain in the ship, you are not able to be saved. And the soldiers cut off the ropes of the boat, and permitted it to fall off. And until the day was about to be, Paul was calling on all to partake of nourishment, saying, 14 days today, waiting, you continue fasting, having taken nothing. For this reason I call on you to take nourishment, for this is for your safety, for of not one of you will a hair fall from the head." And having said these things, and having taken bread, he gave thanks to God before all, and having broken it, he began to eat. And all, having become of good cheer, also took food themselves. And we were, all the souls in the ship, 276. And having eaten sufficient nourishment, they were lightening the ship, casting forth the wheat into the sea. And when the day came, they were not discerning the land, but were perceiving a certain bay having a beach, into which they took counsel, if possible, to thrust forward the ship. And having taken up the anchors, they were committing it to the sea. At the same time, having loosed the bands of the rudders, and having hoisted up the foresail to the wind, they were making for the shore. And having fallen into a place of 2 seas, they ran the ship aground, and the prow indeed, having stuck fast, remained immovable. But the stern was broken by the violence of the waves. And the soldiers' counsel was that they should kill the prisoners, lest anyone, having swam out, should escape. But the centurion, resolving to save Paul, hindered them from the counsel, and commanded those able to swim, having cast themselves out first, to get to the land, and the rest, some indeed on boards, and some on certain things of the ship. And thus it came to pass that all came safe to the land.